I never planned to save anyone that day, especially not in the Badlands where the sun burned like judgment and the wind carried stories older than regret. But fate doesn't ask a man's permission. It just grabs him by the collar and drags him through fire. And that's exactly what happened when I saw her lying near the dry ravine. Dust in her hair, blood dark against her buckskin dress, eyes closed like the world had finally given her one moment of peace. And I should have ridden on, because every cowboy with half a brain knew what it meant to find Anne. Apache woman alone, danger, revenge, death, but something in my chest cracked open. Maybe loneliness, maybe honor, maybe the simple fact that I'd buried too many good men and couldn't stomach leaving one more soul to the vultures. So I dismounted slow, hand near my revolver, heart hammering louder than gunfire, and when she stirred, I saw her face fully for the first time, strong cheekbones, skin kissed by sun and wind, lips cracked but proud even in pain, and when her dark eyes snapped open, sharp as a blade, she tried to reach for a knife that wasn't there. And I said softly, easy now. I ain't here to hurt you. Not sure if she understood my words, but certain she heard the truth in my voice. Because she stopped fighting, though she never stopped watching me. Not even when I tore a strip from my shirt to bind the gash on her side. Not even when I offered her water. Not even when I lifted her onto my horse like she weighed nothing but destiny itself. And the whole ride to my cabin I felt eyes on my back that weren't human. Felt the land itself judging me. And when I laid her on my bed, the only bed I'd known since my wife died of fever years before, I realized just how badly wounded she was. The kind of wound that steals breath and life if you don't act fast. So I cleaned it, stitched it with shaking hands, whispered promises I wasn't sure I could keep. And when fever took her that night, she cried out in her language, words I couldn't understand but pain I could. And I sat there through the dark hours, gun across my knees, fire dying low, thinking any second I'd hear war cries or feel an arrow in my spine. But dawn came quiet, and she lived. And when she woke again, truly woke, she tried to rise and failed, anger flashing across her face, pride wounded deeper than flesh. And I told her my name, told her she was safe, told her she could leave when she was strong. And that's when she said her first clear word to me in broken English, a word that changed everything, no. And I laughed, thinking she meant no to the pain, no to the weakness. But she shook her head slowly, eyes never leaving mine, and said it again, firmer this time, no. Leave. And I didn't understand then, not fully, but I would. Because days passed and she healed under my roof, moving through my cabin like she'd been there all her life, cooking without asking, cleaning without thanks, watching me like a hawk watches a snake. And when I finally told her she could go, that her people would be searching, that staying with a white cowboy was dangerous for both of us, she stood in the doorway, sunlight framing her like something carved from legend, and said, you saved me, you stay. And I felt something twist inside me, something that had been dead for a long time. And I told her I couldn't, that the world wouldn't allow it, that men like me didn't get happy endings. And she stepped closer, close enough I could feel her breath, and said quietly, world already tried to kill me. You stopped it. Now I stop you from leaving. And I should have mounted my horse then. Should have ridden until the horizon swallowed me whole. But instead I stayed. Because every night I dreamed of her dying in that ravine. And every morning I woke to her alive in my home. And the fear shifted, changed shape, became something sharper when Apache scouts finally came, appearing from the hills like ghosts, rifles and bows ready, eyes cold. And she walked out to meet them, standing between me and death without hesitation, speaking fast and fierce in her tongue. And when their chief looked at me, I saw murder there, pure and simple. But I also saw something else when he looked at her, respect, gratitude, and something like a debt. And she told him I had saved her life, that the spirits had chosen me. And after a long silence that stretched my nerves thin, he nodded once and turned away, leaving me alive but marked. And that night she told me her name, a name that meant woman who refuses the storm. And it fit her better than anything I'd ever known. And I realized she wasn't keeping me there out of weakness or fear, but because she believed the world had tied our lives together with an unbreakable knot. And when I tried one last time to leave, saddled my horse before sunrise, she stood in my path, eyes shining but unyielding, and said, if you go, I follow. If you die, I die. You saved me. I choose you. And no gunfight I'd ever survived had scared me like that moment, because love is the most dangerous frontier of all. And I understood then that I hadn't just saved an Apache beauty, I'd been saved too, pulled back from a life of dust and ghosts, given a reason to stand my ground instead of running. And so I stayed, and the land didn't curse us, and the sky didn't fall, and slowly, painfully, the world bent just enough to let us breathe. And if you think this is where the story ends, you're wrong, because every legend starts with a choice. And this was mine, a choice to stay when I could have fled, to love when I could have survived alone. And if you want more stories like this, stories of the Wild West where courage, destiny, and forbidden love collide, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Wild West Dairies, because out here, every story matters, and the next one might just change you the way she changed me.